You think your dog leans on you because it wants attention, but that's only the surface of what's really happening. Because when your dog slowly presses its body against your leg, rests its weight on you while you stand still, or quietly leans into your side without making a sound, it's not random affection. It's a behavior loaded with trust, emotional dependence, instinct, and communication most people never fully understand. And once you realize what your dog may actually be saying in those moments, the behavior starts feeling far more emotional than cute. Most people never realize this, but leaning is one of the clearest physical signs that your dog sees you as a source of emotional stability. Not just comfort, stability. And there's one specific moment when dogs lean on humans that reveals everything about how they truly feel emotionally. We'll come back to that later because it completely changes the meaning of the behavior. Have you ever noticed how dogs rarely lean on strangers the same way they lean on their owners? A dog may accept petting from someone unfamiliar, but leaning is different. Leaning requires vulnerability. Balance shifts, body weight transfers, physical control softens. That matters more than people think. In the animal world, voluntarily placing your body weight against another being requires trust. Your dog is temporarily lowering physical readiness to stay connected to you. That's not casual behavior. That's emotional security becoming physical. And honestly, humans instinctively feel this too. That's why a dog leaning against you can feel strangely calming even without movement or interaction, because your brain recognizes trust being offered silently. But here's where things become deeper. Dogs are naturally social animals. Their ancestors survived through pack coordination, physical closeness, and group awareness. Proximity meant safety, isolation meant vulnerability. That instinct still exists today, even inside domestic dogs living comfortable modern lives. So when your dog leans on you constantly, part of what's happening is nervous system regulation. Your presence lowers uncertainty. You become the emotional reference point their body relaxes around. That's not just affection, that's biological reassurance. Have you ever noticed your dog leaning more in crowded places, during stressful situations, or when unfamiliar people enter the room? That behavior is incredibly revealing because your dog is not only seeking closeness, they are seeking grounding. Your body becomes an anchor during uncertainty. And this is where most owners misunderstand something important. They assume leaning always means confidence and love. Sometimes it actually signals mild anxiety or overstimulation underneath the surface. A dog leaning heavily during stress may be trying to self-soothe through contact. That's why context changes everything. The same behavior can mean comfort, attachment, reassurance, insecurity, or emotional dependence depending on the situation around it. And dogs rarely separate those emotions cleanly. Neither do humans, honestly. Think about how people behave when emotionally overwhelmed. They sit closer to trusted people. They seek touch, presence, contact, familiarity. Dogs often do the same thing in simpler, more instinctive ways. That's why leaning feels emotionally human sometimes. Because at its core, it reflects a universal nervous system truth. Closeness reduces fear, but here's something most people never think about. Your dog may lean on you because they trust your reactions more than their own instincts. Read that again. Over thousands of years, dogs evolved alongside humans so closely that many began using human emotional cues to interpret situations. If you remain calm, they feel safer. If you become tense, they become alert. Your emotional state affects theirs constantly. So when your dog leans on you while watching the world around them, they may literally be checking your emotional response before deciding how they should feel. That's not dependency in a weak sense. That's social synchronization. And honestly, once you understand that, the behavior stops feeling small because suddenly your dog isn't just being clingy, they are emotionally calibrating themselves through you. Now, here's where the behavior becomes more emotional than most owners expect. Some dogs lean during moments of quiet emotional connection, not excitement, not play, not rewards, just silence. You're standing in the kitchen, sitting on the couch looking out a window, and your dog slowly walks over and presses against you without asking for anything. No toy, no barking, no demand. Just contact. Those moments reveal something powerful because your dog is choosing connection even when there's no obvious benefit attached. That's pure attachment behavior. And in a world where attention is usually transactional, that kind of silent loyalty affects people deeply, even if they don't consciously realize why. But now we need to talk about the hidden side of this behavior that owners often ignore. Sometimes excessive leaning can signal emotional imbalance, especially when combined with separation anxiety, hyperattachment, trembling, pacing, or inability to settle alone. This is where something small can point towards something much bigger. People often mistake anxious attachment for affection because the behaviors look loving on the surface. Constant contact, following everywhere, always needing closeness. But in some dogs, these behaviors come from emotional insecurity rather than calm bonding. And if owners reinforce anxiety constantly without building confidence, the dependency can quietly grow stronger over time. That's why emotional context matters more than the behavior itself. A calm lean says something very different from a restless, desperate lean. Dogs communicate through patterns, not words, and the smallest physical habits can reveal emotional states owners completely overlook. Now let's come back to the moment we mentioned earlier, the lean that reveals everything. It's not when your dog wants treats. It's not during playtime. It's when your dog leans on you after becoming scared, uncertain, or emotionally unsettled. Thunderstorms, arguments in the house, loud environments, moments when your energy changes suddenly. That's when the behavior becomes emotionally raw. Because in those moments, your dog is not simply asking for affection, they are placing trust in you emotionally. Your calm becomes their safety mechanism. And honestly, that realization hits hard once you truly notice it. Because your dog may not understand your job, your problems, your plans, or your language fully. But they know when your presence feels safe. And they return to it instinctively. That's the emotional truth hidden inside the leaning behavior most people laugh off as cute. It means more than people think. And maybe that's why these quiet moments stay with dog owners for years. Not the tricks, not the commands, but the silent moments where an animal chose to trust you completely without needing words. A dog leaning against your leg is a tiny action physically. But emotionally, it may be one of the clearest expressions of attachment your dog can give. So the next time your dog presses its body weight into you for no obvious reason, don't dismiss it as random affection or habit. Look closer, because your dog may be grounding itself through your presence, seeking emotional reassurance, sharing trust, or silently telling you, I feel safest near you. And once you understand that, even the smallest moments of contact start feeling much heavier with meaning. If this changed the way you see your dog's behavior, then you're beginning to notice something most people never stop long enough to understand. Dogs are constantly communicating emotionally in ways that don't require a single word.